Getting set up for some morning studies. Let's make sure the doggy has his blanket. Right, Bosch? What's your blanket? We are ready to roll. Get into my spot. The dog partially in the way. Not that that's his fault, it's his spot. Good morning. We got some Pegasus is up there from Miss Whitlatch. Good morning, Greece. How are we doing out there? It's got to be, mid-afternoon? What, 6 hours? I'm in the East Coast of the United States, so I think it's 6 hours later in Greece? Or 7? Yeah, there you go. Mid-afternoon. Mid-afternoon from the heart of Western civilization, right? Good morning, everybody popping in. I know this time is usually a little bit better for the Europeans, or even for the Asians. It's 12 hours distance to, say, Hong Kong from here, or 13, depending on the time of year. But sometimes I'll get some of my former Hong Kong students in here. A lot of details on this wing. Good morning, everybody popping in. Stopping by, pull up a seat. Might be able to zoom in on that a little bit. And let's see, rotate that up a little bit. So I'm going to be working up here anyway. There we go. Good morning, everybody. I forgot to post the thing in here. This is alright, there's that Pegasus. Now we need the vertical one. See what we can do with this part of the page. Hopefully something on the next page will fit comfortably in there. Good morning. Good morning. Ugh. Drip. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Who have we got in here today? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Daniel over there on the YouTube side of things. You want to draw a pregnant centaur? I don't know. I probably would assume it would be in the horse's stomach. It's got to be big enough, right? And that's where it's got to come out, is out the rear. So that would be my assumption. It's not anything I've given any thought to. So that's what I would think is come out of the horse half. It's got to be big enough, right? And it's got to be access to the outside. And of course, where things get in. So. That'd be where I'd probably break that down. Whew, sleepy. I'm looking at Terryl Whitlatch's Science of Creature Design this morning. So I've been looking at for the last couple months. I think I started this one back in September. Well, you could say, it's not just the stomachs, right? It's the access points. So if you're trying to birth out of a centaur's human side, there's nowhere to get out over there or in. Then that kind of negates that as the port of entry or exit. Since all of their organs that are necessary for that would be in the end, not in the front. Because all it is just it's just muscles up there, right? It wouldn't be any internal organs. That would be my assumption. So. I mean, assuming such a creature could, exist, right? They are mythical, so there's more to them than, excuse me, natural. There's more to them than natural considerations, right? So they're mythical, so there's more. There's as much kind of embedded meaning in the creature as there is. If not more meaning than there is the fact of their existence. I think, of how they would exist theoretically. There are some cool ones in Fantasia. The old. Let's see. I gotta flip the page here. Yeah, so this is the book I'm referencing here. This is Terryl Whitlatch's Science of Creature Design. And she's got 3 books on the subject. I have 2 of them. I have this one and then one other one. And a couple of years ago, I decided to start doing kind of an active use of all of my art books. Or maybe not to say all of them, but a lot of them. It's And so I've been getting up and spending an hour or two yeah, well, maybe, I think if they were to build a centaur, they would have to build it. I don't think they'd be able to birth it. I think that would probably be more of what we would see. If such a creature could, be brought into existence, it'd probably have to be some kind of surgical attachment rather than a genetic creation. Hello. Welcome everybody popping in. So, for those that are coming in, I'm looking at the great Terryl Whitlatch's Science of Creature Design book. She's been around doing concept art for film and games for a long time. I first became aware of her with the prequel, Star Wars prequel. So she designed a lot of creatures in there, including the infamous Jar Jar Binks. Which I don't think he shows up in this book in particular, but so but she tends to in these books just tend to end up doing a lot of kind of chimera type creatures rather than true aliens or monsters, which is it's fine. It's perfectly valid. But she's just a really great anatomist. And when she's thinking in terms of design for her creatures, a lot has to do with the functionality of it. So if you looked at the Pegasus page I had up there, she is adapting bird skeletal structures to the inside of the horse. So the breastbone of a bird. And so it's interesting to see how she kind of adapts what she thinks is important. I usually do like a page or two worth of sketching out, depending on how big I do them, and then yeah, people didn't like kind of the Jamaican talk. I think it's more than that. I think his general character I think was not very good. So the speech patterns were definitely annoying, but it was interesting. Kind of in those movies, they did base their speech patterns for different aliens on different cultures, right? Like the Trade Federation were clearly, based off of Japanese people, basically, and their accents, or their perceived accents, at least. The forget what they called the Jar Jar Binks people, but they were, clearly have their accents based off of, Jamaicans, or a perception of Jamaican accents. And so there's definitely that going on in those movies. Yeah, I mean, there's a wide variety of approaches, but I'm talking about in terms of like the true. So like she tends to, most of her creatures that she designs for, like she's worked on like the Avatar movies, things that require a lot of creature design. Whatever the quality of the actual movie is itself is secondary to the artists that are that don't have any influence on the story. But she's bases a lot of her designs very clearly on living real world things. And she has a background in science. Hello, Apoliku. Because I guess her background is some kind of animal biology or paleontology or something like that, if I recall correctly. I did meet her briefly at Lightbox, last month, which it's really a great experience. I'm so glad I went. It was. Alright, I guess we'll do this horse small. I didn't realize, like the way the neck bones kind of go, they start on the outside at the top and then go kind of in the center as they go in, because it needs all that muscle on top to support the neck on that horse. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, that's definitely true. Like, you can go look at dinosaur bones, right? And you can see a lot of, what we see in modern animals, built into theirs. Theirs just tend to be a lot heavier and thicker, and more simple in certain ways, but also less streamlined. I think I'm gonna let that foot go off the page. I've been going through a bunch of these books that I own. I've got a ton of art books, and I realized, excuse me, a few years ago that'd be wise for me to really take advantage of them and, not just look at them or reference them, but actually, sketch the drawings while I'm reading the text and see what they have to say. Like in this case, this is a particular horse named Nosy, and mixed breed horse. And so she's commenting here on its on her particular characteristics that make her a unique personality rather than just a generic horse. So I usually kind of set up the sketch here with the pencil and then come in with the ink. Alright. Yeah, I mean, you get all these, a lot of artists, they collect a lot of books, and I've got, a bookshelf right behind me that's full of them. I have ones downstairs. A couple other places on my desk. Alright. Yeah, but so I thought I'd start streaming these because I have my setups all here, and it's seems to be of interest to some people. Yeah, in fact, I was actually doing it downstairs on my couch. I had bought a little music stand off of Amazon, cheap one, and because everything is on Amazon these days, mostly cheap crap. But and I put the books up on that downstairs. Kick back on the couch and do that for an hour or so in the morning, and then decided to move it up here to the desk so I could do certain, like the practice with these Hunt 102 pen nibs or brushes and other things rather than just I was using a ballpoint pen down there just for out of convenience. I had a big box of red ballpoint pens, and so definitely something I recommend people do is get their art books out and start practicing. I have a little. Basically, I'm using an iPad stand on my desk. I'd like to find something that's a little bigger, wider at least for setting my books on. It works okay for a lot of them, but not all of them. So probably take 10 minutes and do a search for something I can stick up on the drafting table. Arnoldus. Ar tas kažkoks lietuvis vardas. Hey, if you're invested in all these books, and you should definitely, they shouldn't be there just to, show off to your friends that you have art books, right? It's like I bring them to my class and I show my students all my books. So I'll haul, a couple of them down to the classroom every, twice a week when I go down to teach at the university. And some of these books I've had for a really long time. You can't buy them anywhere. For at least not for cheap anymore. Like I was showing my Art of the Lord of the Rings movies books, and those are fairly expensive these days to buy in good condition, and they like, oh wow, these are really great. Take tons of pictures inside of them, and I'll talk about what they're doing in there a little bit, how they're relevant to what the students are doing. The problems that they're trying to solve were similar to some degree to the problems that these artists were trying to solve working on these major productions. Good morning, everybody popping in. Everybody bring their study materials today. Well, there's a lot to learn, right? For me, that's how I kind of like to start my day, and obviously you are not. Probably at the beginning of your day, right? If I had to guess. Yeah, so I've been up, for it's I don't know, 5:45 or something a.m. I get up. I try to get up pretty early. I've been sleeping in a little bit. I've been sleeping into like 6:30 the last few days, and I don't like that. It kind of throws off my whole day. Um, so I prefer to get up between like 5:30 and 6 a.m. If I can. Um, so I don't. I'm one of those people that like, if I get more than like 6 or 7 hours of sleep, I am really tired all day long. Maybe I just need to get 8 hours consistently for a couple weeks or something, and then I'd be happier with that. But generally, I just can't sleep that much. So, but I try to shut down the evening live streams at 10 p.m. Um, and then I just walk, get the dog his final uh, broccoli for the night, and set up the coffee machine, and then crawl in bed after brushing my teeth. Um, so I'm not like coming off live stream and hanging out or anything. I just go straight to bed after that, and then try to get up between those times. So yeah, so I found that if I just get a lot of sleep, I'm just really tired all the time. So um, like I'll often take a nap or something after lunch briefly, for half an hour to an hour, but a little siesta. But yeah, so definitely helps. Even if I don't sleep during one, it just helps me to like close my eyes for a little bit. But part of it, I'm just like so productive right now that I hesitate to slow down. I don't want to lose any of the momentum I've built up. Uh, in fun AI news, I saw there's a company, a publishing company being set up, and these guys, they want to train on, they want to like pay people to train on their books. I think mostly non-fiction books. So they can produce 8,000 books a year. I'm just like, who are all these books going to be for? And, I'm just like, how is this like who's going to buy all these books? Especially books, you can't really copyright. So, as soon as you put it out there, someone else can grab it and throw it up and make it their own if they want to. It just seems silly. I don't remember. Yeah, this question is like, like how, like, what is this? Like, are they just gonna list them? It's like I was looking at this article or something, or reading this. Maybe it was a YouTube video, but the guy was commenting that that Amazon had put a new restriction on listing books on Amazon due to the overwhelming amounts of AI books being thrown up on there. And their restriction was to 3 books a day. It's like, who's, like, are they just spamming out books? Like, how are you supposed to find anything if it's, just this AI slop being thrown up on there? And, how bad was it if they consider that a limitation? It's like you can't even read your own book in a day, much less in 3 days. I just don't, like, who's this company for? It was funny, I have a Discord for my independent studies students at the university, and we have a section in there on AI stuff. And I was mostly ignoring it at school, but with the recent controversies, made it a kind of a point of discussion, and so I had to be more explicit with my position. So I'd rather students feel free to talk about whatever they want to talk about in the classroom. I don't want them to feel like I'm there to assess them on their lack of experience or opinions or whatever. And so we put together a little section there, right? We just post whatever AI madness is going on in the world at that moment, and there's usually like 3 or 4 things I'll toss in there every single day. So part of myself just kind of getting more informed about what people are doing, because I mostly just ignored it. I just didn't really want to bother with it or care about it. But then they kind of insisted that I do. So yeah, because the students are pretty universally against it. Yeah, so I'm not surprised. I mean, the students coming into the major, like they're there to learn to draw and paint and tell their own stories and learn how to do compositions. Like they're not there to prompt stuff. It's like, why would you go to school to do that? Um, well, I think it's like I think a lot of people who are not artists, they think it's entertaining because it is a neat toy, right? Like there's no denying that. It's you type in words and it makes a picture. Like who doesn't love that, right? And I remember watching this stuff kind of develop over the years, and I never really used very much of it. I think there was like an app on my iPad I used once to see what it does, or like some of the text stuff. Like I tried out ChatGPT a couple times just to see what it does, but it just seemed really generic. And then I'll talk to people who actually talk, like have conversations on ChatGPT, and I'm like, why? Like, what's the benefit do you get from that? And then like, oh yeah, the website editor I have has like AI features built into it, where you can it can update your text or give you layouts or things like that, and I just don't have any real use for that. I've tried the texting just to see what it does, and it always made it worse. Like it made things wordier and more complicated and more static. It didn't improve the quality of the writing, because there's a certain kind of writing you want for websites like that, and it needs to be very conversational. And let's see, what is today? Today is the 27th. And it can't be. You don't want it to be technical or whatever. Like I can, in my normal conversation, I tend to use a lot of big words and things like that just because of my background. I kind of wish I didn't, but it's kind of by default. But when I'm writing for these, my website, the little bit that I do try to keep it a lot simpler, which it's easier to do when I'm writing, just because I can go back and restate things better. Cut out words and simplify my verbs, right? Because we tend to have a lot of those that passive voice we tend to use too often, which most of the languages don't have a problem with because they don't have as many tenses as English has. But yeah, but I have a brother. He really likes ChatGPT, and he's like a internet marketer guy. And he likes it, but I think part of his problem is like he's he's got a wife and a couple of kids and all of that, but he kind of operates business wise and success wise at a very high level, and it's hard for him to find people that he can communicate with, and like he'll go out and try to meet people or go to events to kind of talk to other people that operate in that kind of online marketing space, and he always comes back very disappointed with the kinds of people he meets, just because he wants them to be as ambitious and focused as he is on his success or on their success, and he'll meet people and just be like they're not moving forward. Like, why aren't they doing X, Y, or Z thing? And so it's just been hard for him to find those kinds of people. So my inking practice, and I printed out some of my sketchbook pages after scanning them in. So these are some of my Bramble Lord studies that I've got kind of set up here. And I like them because they're kind of abstract, and so they're good for practicing the form. This is actually a purple ink that I have. It seems like it's kind of shiny though. Not sure how I feel about that. Yeah, it's a purple ink. It kind of looks weird on here, but it's definitely purple. But I've been trying to really kind of practice the the inking technique to get it super clean. Yeah, it was an order off of Jet Pens. So they make. I'm not sure if they sell through. They have like a European site or not, but they sell like pens and paper and things from Japan. So this was an ink that was on there. I was doing an order of something, and to kind of get the shipping to be free because they ship out of California, so it's local, but it's kind of from there. And I ordered this. Oh, look at this purple ink a try. See what's going on. Yeah, so it's nice, but yeah, definitely I could just in general prefer the black ink. Peter Parker. That's an entirely too British name for me. Let's see, there's some areas I wanted to fill in. Yeah, so this is printed on like the Strathmore plate. One of the things I realized when I was doing that those pages is I didn't like the paper. But this paper I like a lot more. It's a lot smoother. Yeah, there's an okay art shop here in town that I've been to. There might be other ones, but there's one that's like within walking distance. It's actually right across the street from where I teach. So we have a couple of kind of big chain art supply stores in the United States. One is called Dick Blick or Blick.com, and they sell it's like they sell everything, like furniture and paint and everything for art stuff. There's a similar one online called Jerry's Artorama. I don't think they have that many physical locations. And I guess there's a third one, which is the one we have here, which is downtown, which is Plaza Art. And that's the one that's right across the street. They're pretty good. Used to be another one called Utrecht, but they got acquired by Dick Blick a while ago. I think they still keep the brand around for the art supplies. But those are kind of the major art supply kind of dealers in the United States. I'm sure there's probably something similar in Europe. Like there's places that particular brands or shops that are kind of in lots of places. Like it's like just not like a Walmart necessarily, but they're a larger company. And then there's kind of I've been dealt with some individual smaller dealers. The problem with them is obviously is that they tend to be a lot more expensive, but they're also kind of specialty art supply makers here too that make handmade paint. So like Vasari is a company. I think they were in New York, or they might have moved. But there's Terryl.com, and they make brushes. That's their kind. They do other things too, but that's kind of been their focus is brushes, and they're really nice, high quality brushes that are relatively inexpensive. I think they're based out of California. But yeah, I've been like a customer of Terryl for like 20 years now, I guess. Hi, Bosch. Yeah, I mean, just it's like I think like the local one here, like the manager is friends with a lot of the professors. Um, if I were teaching more traditional media classes, I'd probably talk to them about putting together like an art kit for my classes. That's what we did at Ringling in Florida. Is there's a art supply shop that's kind of like right there next to the school. And I don't think it's actually owned by the school, but they have a relationship with the school. And so we send them kind of what we need for our students, and they'll put together big kits that students can buy. They can obviously get it cheaper other places, but it's really convenient. They can just kind of go in there and grab their kit. But I was always having trouble with them, like actually getting what I wanted. So there would be like, they would have kind of most everything, but not everything. And I wasn't always aware of that, so I would just assume that they were competent, at getting everything. And I was not quite right about that. Which I would have preferred, because if you, or at least let me know what they haven't been able to get. They've got a checklist or something, and something's out. Some people blamed the pandemic for that, but I saw that before the pandemic was going on, and I just think maybe it wasn't going to be profitable, at the price that they could get it and sell it comfortably at. Yeah, I mean, like the problem I've run into with the local art shops is them just not having everything I need or the particular thing I need, and of course it doesn't make any sense for them to order the one thing just for me, and so I often end up just going online because it's just more convenient. It's often a lot cheaper too. Like if you go to Dick Blick, like the paint or the brushes or whatever, they're all 20% cheaper than you find in the local shop. And for artists, that makes a big deal in our budget, right? Because that stuff's expensive. Like I always try to buy the highest quality stuff that I can get, which tends to mean it's more expensive. So if I'm buying like a sable brush, I want it to be a really good one, and those can, especially these days with the restrictions on trade with Russia, if you want a Kolinsky sable brush, like they can cost like $50 for a size 2, which is really small. I haven't had to buy any in a while, but um, so um, yeah, well, I think part of what I like about going into the shop is like you can actually see the real thing, test it out, make sure it is what you want it to be. It's like next to the color pencils, they always have those scratch pads, right? So there's pieces of paper where you can test out the pastels or the colored pencils on, or the ink tools, and that's what I like about the shops, is that aspect. You can verify that it really works for what you need. And if it's something I've never bought before, that's definitely something I want to do. So, um, yeah, but anytime I want to like buy bulk or whatever, it's just I tend to go online for things. But what I love about the art shops too is if I need something like right at that moment that I've run out of, then it's really great to be able to go in there and get stuff. I just wish they could, you know, have lower prices. I understand why they don't. Like, I'm not annoyed with them for them charging the full retail price, but and then the other thing that bothers me too about the local art supply shops is, like, if you're buying brushes, a lot of times they're damaged because, especially if they're expensive ones, they've been there for a long time, and a lot of people have handled them, and so sometimes they can be damaged, which I don't like at all. Yeah, but again, it's like I'm not. A lot of people, they get upset about the prices they see in art supply shops, and like, you don't understand. Like, it's a very, first of all, art supplies are for a very niche market. It's not a mass market like, selling a video game or a T-shirt or something like that. It's a very small market, and if you want higher quality materials, like if you're looking for the actual fur brushes made from, like, nicer, you know like, hog's hair versus Kolinsky is a big difference, right? Or sable versus regular sable versus Kolinsky sable. It's a big difference in the quality of the hair on it, and they're very, very expensive, and it's only a small part of what they're for. Or the minerals that the paints are made from, that makes a big difference too. So if you want real lapis lazuli as opposed to ultramarine blue, like real lapis lazuli, I think really only still comes from one place in the world, which is Afghanistan, which is where it originally came from. That's what it used to be. It's probably still might be still more expensive than gold. Yeah, and so that's those are just kind of common issues I've seen, because people are handling this stuff in the shop, where the paper can be sometimes messed up. So if you're looking for like a nice piece of watercolor paper, what's nice about the art supply shop is you can go check it out and see what it looks like, how it feels, and not just base it off of somebody's recommendation. But of course, the other problem you run into is other people have been checking out that paper too, and they may have bumped a corner or damaged it, or smudged something on it or whatever. And you're more likely to not get that issue from from a mail order situation. Good morning. We had a different Greek in here before. Yeah, so I'm becoming famous in Greece. Yeah, everybody out there needs to work a lot harder to make me more famous. That's your mission for the rest of the year. Is Yeah, put up flyers and posters and billboards and ads on local TV and hand out flyers in the local market. You know, it's really important, right? Everybody make me super famous for some reason. Nothing's more important than that. How are we doing for time? 8 o'clock. Alright, I probably need to put a pause on this. I'm supposed to meet my sister and her kids at the museum in a little while. Theoretically, depending on when they leave. So, and then maybe I'll do this more complicated. Start doing this more complicated one up here from my sketchbook later on. But alright. Well, I think I better put a pause on this. Alright. Well, thanks everybody for popping in. And catch you all next time.